let it go. 52 times a year, the week is done and over with before you know.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello, good evening and welcome. I am David Frost and That Was the Week That Was. Finally, after 60 years, the third series has finally arrived. After the first two series were cruelly cancelled by the BBC and the then Tory government under Harold Macmillan. But now, this week we were shown a picture of the Dalai Lama apologising after a video of him kissing a boy on the lips and asking him to suck his tongue sparked a backlash. So, what in fact we have witnessed is the Pope kissing Nirvana goodbye. For a country that has just lost all its oligarchs, it's no surprise that fuming Russians are raging at Putin as the country suffered a monopoly board game shortage. In fact, Putin is hoarding them all. He needs as many get-out-of-jail cards that he can get. The M5 witnessed this week absolute chaos when a huge jumbo jet was driven down it. The jumbo in the road is the motoring equivalent of the elephant in the room. We were shown in the press the pothole map of Great Britain. With its interactive tool, it laid bare the state of dangerously crumbling roads in the UK, with some 100,000 craters in total, which means there are several times as many potholes in the UK than on the moon. So how bad are the roads near you? Yes, it's top of the pops. In at number 1 is Lancashire. The Welsh Echo showed a couple snapping up a pork pie machine to keep their legacy bakery alive. TW asks, is that the same pork pie machine that Boris Johnson and Donald Trump use? It's all happening in Wales. A man covered his house in 30,000 lights just for Easter. Next year, he's going to ask for a calendar for a Christmas present. In Glasgow Live, Nicola Sturgeon was pictured finishing her driving lesson outside her Glasgow home. Yes, Nicola is learning to use the SNP getaway car. The Telegraph revealed that Spike Milligan's old mansion was to become the embassy for Kosovo. As a nice touch, the security guards at the door will sing the Kosovan national anthem when you go past. It's called the Yingtong song.
Yingtong, 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 Tiddly-to. Yingtong, 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 Tiddly-to, Tiddly-to.
Cornwall Live said Gordon Ramsay and son Oscar have a new favourite place to eat in Cornwall. Or should I say, kiss. Gordon Ramsay decided to emulate the Pope and offered everyone a tongue sandwich afterwards. A pub landlord in a tiny Welsh village where Ryan Reynolds is buying a £1.5 million home said excited locals will be rolling out the carpet for the Hollywood A-lister and can't wait to bump into him in the local co-op. But if you bump into Ryan Reynolds in the co-op, go down clutching your face and sue him for a head injury. Kind hearts and coronation, said the Yahoo News this week. Unfortunately, King Charles's balcony show will miss two major players. Yes, I'm afraid Ant and Dec say they can't make it. So I'm going to ask Dick and Dom instead. The Sun revealed how a gang of thieves stole Star Wars merch worth thousands of pounds from an exhibition before trying to hide amongst a group of Wookiees. That reminds us at TW of an old East End saying, if you've got something hooky, hide amongst the Wookie. It's all happening in Wales this week. A caravan was towed off by a mobility scooter spotted on the streets of Cardiff. The towing went off without a hitch. Yes, the caravan was tied on with a rope instead. Whilst the Western Morning News wrote about the man in the monkey nut coat, how a 1940s scientist made vegan wool from peanuts. Vegans are apparently going nuts about it. It's the SNP again. Their party bus, luxury motorhome, was seized by cops from Peter Morell's mum's home. It was set to be the SNP election battle bus, apparently. It sounds like a case of dual fool to us. When Mum is sitting in it, it's a motorhome. When Nicola is in it, it's a battle bus. This week in the USA saw Arnold Schwarzenegger repairing potholes on the Los Angeles road after becoming upset. The problem with potholes, Arnold, is you'll be back, won't you? Poor old Princess Kate was hit with confusion over her coronation tiara in a major snub from tradition. But William, I want to wear a big tiara. Oh, Kate, I'm afraid Camilla is wearing them all. But there's no need to worry. Harry will attend Charles's coronation, but without Meghan and the kids. Yes, indeed, it looks like they've found a spare seat in the back of the church next door. Of all the people you might have expected to support King Charles, Johnny Rotten would probably not have been amongst them. He said Harry and Meghan are spiteful and urged them to go away. Not surprisingly, Johnny Rotten has not been asked to perform at the coronation. But he has written a new song, God Save Queen Camilla and the Fascist Regime, They Made Me a Moron. Well, he got the last part right anyway. Johnny turned out to be a pathetic Nazi clown after all. It has been reported that King Charles is very disappointed that he won't see Meghan and the grandchildren at the coronation. Don't worry, Charles, they can watch it on TV, but like the rest of us, I don't think they'll bother. Metro News gave us another first for Britain. A UK golf course became the first in the world to fit defibrillators in buggies. Unfortunately, the lazy fat bastards driving them kept using them to bump start the carts. Big news story of the week was Joe Biden's visit to Ireland. He spent several days in Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland and 10 minutes with Rishi Sunak. Joe made one of his usual gaffes as he confused the All Blacks rugby team with the black and tan paramilitaries used in the Irish Revolution. He was, in fact, referring to the rugby women's team, the Black and Fake Tans. People in Britain are being bullied like never before. The Guardian revealed that visitors to the New Forest will be fined up to £1,000 for petting ponies. So that's petty legislation about petting wild animals. So no singing in the theatre, no petting ponies. It looks like we'd be better off in Afghanistan taking our punishment from the Taliban. Also in The Guardian was the so-called unseen Camilla, the 5 ages of a future queen, from mistress to monarchy. In this picture we see that Camilla is practising for the coronation by pretending the fag is her ivory sceptre. Out in the Shires, we were told about a Berkshire ale trail that stopped off at 24 pubs, and you could get a free t-shirt. Second prize is a tube of Alka-Seltzer, and third prize is all the paracetamol you can eat. Britain is not the only country whining about potholes. Over in America, a pothole was filled by none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. However, it was actually a trench for electrical works. Arnie said he wasn't really filling the pothole, he was only acting. Well, there's a first time for everything, isn't there, Arnie? So, what have Britain's scientists been doing this week? Well, apparently, if you poke hibernating bears, you can discover the secrets of blood clots. Unfortunately, one of the scientists who poked a bear very soon found himself covered in loads of blood clots, didn't he? Metro gave us a tearful lady who had fed 1,613 people during the cost of living crisis, but has since had her crops destroyed by vandals. Cheer up, love, it could be worse. Jesus fed 5,000, didn't he? And look what they did to him. Tara Fitzgerald, whoever she may be, appeared in the garden and said, "People don't ask me to take my clothes off anymore." Don't worry, Tara, it's when they ask you to put more clothes on. That's when you need to worry, love. The National Front press were, however, whining about strikers again. The Express said junior doctors care more about ousting the Tories than saving lives. However, think of the lives they will save, Carol, by ousting the Tory National Front. A picture in the Mail this week was captioned with, "That's awkward. Romeo Beckham suffers an awkward wardrobe malfunction after ripping his jeans in a hilarious snap." You can imagine the family, can't you?
Romeo,
Yes, Mum?
will you give me back my crotchless jeans this minute?
Over in the iNews, we learned about an ancient Maya ball game scoreboard. Sheds light on the ancient culture. What can it tell us? Well, it can tell us that they spent a lot more time keeping the score than actually bloody playing it. What on earth are people going to give King Charles, the man who has everything? Well, over in Spain, they're getting together a marmalade gift for King Charles's coronation that dates back 100 years. Apparently, the citrus fruit is transformed into marmalade in the kitchens inside the Madrid residence of the British ambassador to Spain, along with all the Ferrero Rocher, I suppose. Then Hugh Elliott sends it to London before dear old Paddington slaps it on a couple of slices of white bread and scoffs the bloody lot. For weeks we've had to do without tomatoes, but now Metro reports that tomatoes grown in space will return to Earth this weekend. So the good news is that tomatoes are going to be back in the supermarkets any time soon. They will, however, be covered with a sprinkling of space dust. Also in the Metro, Donald Trump claimed that communist maniacs want to take away guns and release bloodthirsty criminals. Well, the communists should be just about in time to release Donald Trump when he gets locked up. Yesterday we learned that the Grand National had been braced as 300 plus protesters planned to disrupt the big race. So they had to get ready for the entry of vegan steaks, did they? Again in the Metro we learned that Lady Gaga will co-chair Joe Biden's Arts and Humanities Committee. So finally it's happened. Joe goes Gaga. It was recorded in the Mirror this week that a man aged 26 had to be rescued after getting trapped inside a famous sculpture in Canada. The trapped man is reported to be recovering from an heart attack. These theatre yobs must be banned for life, moaned Richard Madeley in the Express this week. If the National Front say we can't have a sing-song, it's time for social liberal people to ban going to the theatre. One of the big occasions on the National Front calendar was the Grand National this week. Harry Redknapp's Grand National Horse was to hit the bookmakers hard ahead of the Aintree Showcase, according to the Express. However, far-right libertarian Harry's horse failed to finish, much like most of the football clubs Harry's managed. The i-News started a bit of a campaign to save Britain's hard shoulder. Yes, we all need a hard shoulder to cry on, don't we? Nature-hating King Charles wanted to control the grey squirrel population by lacing Nutella with a contraceptive. Looking at the damage and chaos King Charles has caused, perhaps we should have laced Prince Charles's Nutella with contraceptives instead. Our final story of the week involves the Beckham family. Brooklyn Beckham made a sarcastic dig at a career change as he posed in football kit. You can imagine the family saying, "Brooklyn, yes, Dad, you know that your brother Romeo is the footballer, don't you? But I did cook the oranges at half-time. Good, aren't they?" Well, this has been David Frost on That Was the Week That Was. So goodbye, good evening, and see you next week.
That was the week that was. It's over, let it go. 52 times a year. The week is done and over with before you know.